Ezekiel Kralin wrote in his weblog Zeekblog, zekeblog.wordpress.com, a story titled, I Had to Call 911 on Deek, D-E-E-K, not Zeke. He is Zeke. He had to call 911 on Deek. Deek. Ezekiel Kralin wrote. Okay, I just purchased the doggies from Deek. As I was waiting for the police to get here, more than a half-hour creeped by with him screaming, I want my dogs! I want my dogs! From across Market Street. He saw me once or twice from the window, which didn't help any. I had called 911 back to arrange they call to my window or make a little siren noise to alert me because my landline phone has been dead since yesterday, and I can only use my smartphone to make 911 calls. How ironic that I was incapacitated in that way, just in a moment of emergency, considering the very rare moments I even use my phone. Dieter had stepped inside with my assistance because pushing a wheelchair. I told him about the terrible turn of events with Deek, so warned him to play things dumb should he run into him, and that since the gendarmes are taking so long to show up, maybe he could be my bodyguard, which I'll also need anyway while walking the pooches. He cracked up as he slowly hobbled up the stairs with another resident carrying the wheelchair up to his fourth-floor SRO and said, oh, sorry, I'm not good at that these days. A few minutes later, and I still heard his painfully slogging ascent to the second floor. I called 911 back and asked if I could return to my hovel to tend to the doggies. I had initially called 911 to explain how my emergency call was about Deek's dogs. Now he's abusing them, but now wants them back, which I do not have the heart to do for obvious reasons. I had also explained that I was helping take care of them through the cold and rainy weather, and everything seemed hunky-dory between us, but he's a meth freak, thus unpredictable, and today is a whopper, and I'm afraid he may be violent toward me and wind up killing the dogs through severe neglect and abuse. They understood my landline is down, and my smartphone has no cell service, so agreed to either call up to my window or turn on the siren for a few seconds once they arrive. The 4 times I called 911, they were all quite nice and professional, except one who just shunted me over to the police department where no one answered the phone. I guess because of all the political brouhaha now going on with the right-wing riots in D.C., activists and marches, etc., adding to the difficulty with keeping a line open to 911 as they couldn't use my now-dead landline number, nor could call me back via my non-cell service smartphone. So I then climbed back up the stairs where the manager, Kevin, was speaking with Dieter. I interrupted to tell Dieter the cops were finally on their way. Then I looked toward the manager and said, should I tell Kevin? Not necessary, he replied. I already told him. Well, Kevin was totally nonplussed when I explained how I've been helping Deek with the doggies through the cold weather and rains. But I've never seen him act so crazy as he is today that I don't want to return the pups to him because he's an animal abuser and they'll probably die. And they're such sweet pups, I added. They aren't to me, quipped Kevin, but I just waved it away by telling him that was because he was thumping a trash bin down the stairs when we stepped out and into the hallway, that they're actually very quiet. I also mentioned I'll probably be moving soon in 2 or 3 months because I have a very lucrative publishing contract in the works, which, by the way, is called Brindlekin Tales and is all about my adventures with Deek and the doggies. I know, Tara, I'm really hedging my bets to a dangerous extent here, but what the hey, I believe in my destiny. I also told him to feel free to call 911 over Deek whenever you deem it necessary, but I think he has enough sense to stay off this side of the street, and I'll do my best to keep him at bay. Upon returning hovel, finally, I was starving because Deek's drama disrupted everything, so I hadn't had even breakfast yet, and it was well after 3 o'clock. I heard my nutty bodhisattva screeching from the other side of reality. Come on down. Let's strike a deal. Turned out he was willing to give up the dogs for $300. Interesting, I thought, that he didn't say $400 per his original price, though since I coughed up an extra $100 for him this morning, I guess he was respecting that as part of the $400. A hint, mind you, that this is all an act put on by a bodhisattva par excellence, as it strikes me that a real tweaker would insist on the original $400. Anyway, I told him I need a witness, and it has to be Boulevard Joe. Well, he kicked up a stink and refused, so I said, how about a video recording of our agreement? He said no to that, too. So I said, well, then you're not going to get the money, and started to walk away. But he finally caved in. So I returned hovel where the sweet little Brindlekin were happily minding their own business, relaxing on my bed as usual with patient canine souls. Got just 2 lines left in the story. And hi, KNYOLP Fort Bragg. How can I help you?
Hi, Marco. It's Andrew Scully.
Andrew, hold on just a moment. There's just 2 sentences left in the story I'm reading. What patient canine souls. They, of course, greeted me with a quizzical stare that said, what on earth is going on, Zeke? I pet them both and told them to be patient a while longer. I'll be back really soon. I don't think there's anything wrong with using the word pet as past tense. And people complain about things like that.